Tata Motors has been doing some very interesting things in the alternate fuel space with its technologies and products, and it is that one big manufacturer that has democratized the space for all the regular people, the masses, to come into its fold. With the Nexon and the Tigor electric vehicles, things are looking very good, especially in the affordable category. And now Tata is extending the space by offering another variant of Tigor which runs on CNG. We drove the Tigor i-CNG model, and that is exactly what we are going to start this episode with. So, I welcome you all to a brand new episode of Pitstop, and this is what we think of the Tata Tigor i-CNG. Over the last few years, sustainability and conservation have been the center point of every conversation that revolves around the future well-being of the planet. And when it comes to the automotive industry, the green mobility narrative has been dominated by battery electric vehicles. But there are other fuels that can also contribute heavily towards green mobility. And one such fuel is CNG, or compressed natural gas. Today we have the Tigor i-CNG, which is the CNG version of the regular Tigor sedan that is manufactured by Tata. So we are going to essentially get behind the wheel, drive it, and also see how much of the green mobility aspect does this car really deliver. There is not really a lot to talk about when it comes to the exterior of the Tigor i-CNG, because generally the stance and the silhouette is exactly the same as the Tigor. But what has changed is there is a little bit of chrome garnish all over the car. The front grille is a little bit different and completely sprinkled with chrome. And then what really is very satisfying is the look of the wheel covers. They actually look very similar to the alloys, and that is not too bad. Of course, we would have really loved for the i-CNG model to also come with alloys, but that's not the case. Having said that, those plastic bits, they look really decent. And it's pretty much the same on the inside as well. The materials, the color palette, everything is exactly the same as the Tigor. And I've always been a fan of the steering wheel size of both the Tigor and the Tiago, and it continues with the same story in the i-CNG version as well. You also have the control buttons on the left hand side, and as is to be expected, there is a touchscreen infotainment system about 7 inches in size. So not really the biggest, and it's not the most responsive as well. There's definitely a little bit of a lag, and it's not the smoothest transition. But it comes with Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. Both of them are wired. And then there are a few other features as well. What I really think Tata should have done with the i-CNG model is utilize the real estate over here between the two control knobs for the air conditioning. But that has not happened, and the temperature is, again, it's right in the corner, top corner of the infotainment screen. So I think, yeah, this is a little bit of a missed opportunity, but it is a climate control system, so you can set the temperature, and yeah, it's going to behave very nicely, I believe. And as per the norms, there is a fire extinguisher as well. It's tucked right below the passenger seat, and it's very easy to take out the extinguisher. You just have to unclip it, and then it gets out in your hand. And I hope you will never have to use this, but yes, it is very needed in a car of this sort. Now, we always suggest that you read the owner's manual properly, and with the CNG models, you get a separate supplement which is for CNG models specifically, and it has a lot of information that is very good. It has a lot of visual references as well. But the part that I would suggest that you really pay a lot of importance to is the last segment, which essentially is all about troubleshooting. So, for example, if you hear some malfunction, or if you hear, for example, again, the engine cranking but not starting, then it gives you a set of things that could be wrong with the whole system. So it could either have no CNG, it could be the fuel flap is open, or the fuel lines are choked. So all these things are going to be very crucial, and they will also allow you to be aware of what warnings correspond to what causes. Now, one thing which was a little bit of a discrepancy between the information that we were given and also what is published in the brochure versus the data that this yellow supplement has is very startling because what we were told is that this i-CNG model delivers about 73.4 PS, but in this, or according to this supplement, it is 70 PS. So there is definitely a mismatch, and I don't know which one to believe. I am going to go with the yellow supplement because this is specific to the CNG. So yeah, my reference point is now going to be this being 70 PS or about 69 horsepower and not 73.4 as is marketed or published in the brochure. To be honest, I expected a big fall in performance because the numbers have fallen dramatically. And then the torque figure has also gone down from 113 to 95 Newton meter. So yes, when I got in, I thought the experience is going to be really dull, but truth be told, it's not as bad. And there is a sense of linearity to how the engine responds to your throttle inputs, and it's really something that you can live with on a day-to-day basis. Yes, that sense of energy is lacking that you get from a regular petrol engine, but the lack of energy is not as pronounced as I thought it would be. And that is a very, very good thing. Specifically, when you kind of floor it, it picks up. We are in third gear, we were doing about 25 kilometers an hour. And then the moment I mashed the pedal into the carpet, there is no reluctance, and the surge is, yes, it's not as spiky, but at the same time, it's not something that is going to leave you wanting for more. And of course, you will have to kind of calculate your overtaking moves because, yes, it takes a little bit more time to kind of get up to speed. But from a car of this sort, with the fuel that is CNG, and of course the numbers going down, it's not bad on performance at all. What I also really like is the flexibility of the ratios in the gearbox. I think that's really matched very well to the nature of the engine. And yes, of course, you kind of live with the compromised performance, or the figures at least. But the way the gearbox is mated to the engine, that is also commendable. The flexibility that you get, especially with the third gear, is just immense, and you can go from really low speeds to, say, middling level speeds very, very easily, and you'll not really notice a lot of lag or a lot of reluctance when you are in that second, third gear range. We also wanted to compare the torque and power graphs of the standard petrol versus the i-CNG model, and unfortunately we were not provided with that by the company. But having said that, we wanted to do it essentially because we wanted to exactly check at what point does the change in performance really become that much more noticeable. But from where I'm sitting, it's okay. I think you will be hard pressed to notice any real big change in the way the engine performs, and that's a big compliment to how Tata have been able to pull off the whole calibration of not just the way the CNG responds to your throttle inputs, but also the way it changes through the gearbox. And also, again, as I said, the flexibility that you get is very good. Another thing that we had requested the company to provide us with was the alteration in the suspension setup, because this is expectedly a heavier car compared to the stock or the standard Tigor because of the CNG. The whole kit is fairly heavy, and then when you feed CNG, it again becomes a bit heavier than what it is in its stock form. So the suspension has been worked on, and there were not a lot of details given out to us, but in the brochure it says that the rear has been treated a little bit, and it has gone semi-independent, and there is a dual path setup. That's essentially to manage how the stance of the car really is and how does it really tackle the bad road conditions. Of course, the ground clearance has gone down. It was 170 with a stock Tigor, gone down to about 165 millimeters in the i-CNG variant. The Tigor was never really a driver's car, and I don't expect this to behave any differently. Yes, there is a little bit of a difference from how it turns on the initial feel when you are being a little aggressive on the steering wheel, but really you will not be able to tell the difference between what the standard petrol Tigor behaves like and this one. Also, it is not something to be hustled around. Just be very sedate on the throttle pedal, and why you buy a CNG car is essentially because of efficiency and practicality. and also lower running costs. So you'll be a fool if you want to play with the accelerator pedal and get every ounce of performance out of this engine, because in stock form itself, this engine is not really great on performance. And in the CNG variant, it just is dumbed down even more. But if you still like the experience of driving, this is going to be okay. Of course, because the sense of control that you get from this small diameter steering wheel is really nice. You feel very intimately connected to it. But the rest of the car is just not dynamically at the level of, at least where it can give you a sense of enjoyment, a sense of purity of performance. So that's definitely not the case with this one. Now, specific to filling up CNG and also injecting it into the engine, from that perspective, Tata has given great amount of thought, and there are technologies in place as well which ensure that everything is very safe and sound. There is a special nozzle, but the filling is of course going to also rely on the prevailing conditions at the filling station at the time. What exactly is the pressure in the system and all of that stuff. And when it comes to the injector mode, or when the CNG is being injected into the engine, that is also dependent on your driving behavior. What kind of incline are you on and stuff like that. But Tata has ensured us that all the regular and enhanced safety measures have been maintained. And there are also allowances in the tubing for the release of the CNG gas if the system picks up any kind of leak in the overall system. One thing that Tata definitely has to be appreciated for is pushing the boundary of safety performance. And it's not only about NCAP results, but even otherwise, when you are sat inside the car, if you have a sense of security because of its build quality and also because of several other factors like features, for example, then that also adds up in a big way. And the Tigor comes with ABS and EBD as standard, along with corner stability control. So that is going to be a huge draw for consumers. So in totality, what the Tigor i-CNG offers is all the goodness of the regular Tigor, be it good seats, great space, and excellent ride quality. That all continues in the i-CNG model as well, despite the rear suspension being tuned to handle that extra weight and the ground clearance going down because of that. But everything, every good aspect of the Tigor is in the i-CNG variant as well. Yes, there are some corners that have been cut, of course, which is also the case with the regular Tigor, and we would have liked for Tata to have fixed them, but that's not been the case. But then again, there is always hope that things are going to improve with the next facelift or whenever they are planning an update. But the i-CNG model is primarily for efficiency and just that flexibility that you get with dual fuel technology. And this one, of course, is going to be low on numbers that you spend at the fuel station or the filling station, because yes, CNG is almost half the cost of petrol. When it first broke cover, the Ford Bronco took the world by storm because of its amazing rugged styling and the promise of some brilliant off-road adventures. But Ford did not rest over there. It pushed the envelope even more and has now come out with the RAPTOR version. This just dials everything up to 11 and it looks even more insane. Check this out.
Ford has finally taken the covers off its most powerful street-legal production Bronco ever. And this new hardcore variant of the popular SUV is equipped with a raft of off-road focused upgrades, aimed to make it capable of highway speed, desert dune conquering and Baja rock crawling, according to Ford. The design of the Bronco Raptor looks like it's ready to take on an apocalypse. It has an 8.6-inch wider track, increased ground clearance from 210 to 333 mm, and it gets heavy-duty bash and skid plates as well. The more important upgrades, however, are with the suspension and tires. Ford has teamed up with Fox to upgrade its suspension system with 13-inch of front and 14-inch of rear travel. and the axles have also further been beefed up to ensure they can take a better beating. As standard, the Bronco Raptor rolls on 37-inch all-terrain tires with super clunky sidewalls for better protection while off-roading. Not only that, but it also gets a bespoke twin turbocharged 3.0-liter petrol V6 engine, pumping out more than 400 horsepower. This is paired with a 10-speed automatic gearbox and breathes through a bespoke exhaust system designed specifically to improve the engine note. There are 7 drive modes as part of Ford's Goes Over Any Type of Terrain, commonly known as the GOAT system. The newly added modes are Baja mode, which minimizes turbo lag to optimize high-speed performance across the desert, and a tow or haul mode that ups the towing capacity to more than 2 tons. The Ford Bronco is already a desirable off-roader like the Land Rover Defender or Jeep Wrangler. With this new version, Ford has just improvised on everything to ensure it's the perfect bird of prey, or in other words, the Raptor.
BMW's flagship M product, the M8, has been given some subtle but very crucial updates, and the brand has also decided to do away with the non-competition models, which is again a very interesting but also a very important strategic shift towards the entire business approach. Take a look.
BMW has introduced the 2023 version of its M8 competition model. Available in coupe, convertible and grand coupe styles, the new M8 gets new interior tech, optional M-carbon bucket seats and expanded color options. With the announcement of this new version, BMW has also discontinued the non-competition versions of the M8. The newly added standard shades include Skyscraper Grey, Brooklyn Grey and Isle of Man Green. But there are 2 more options added to the BMW individual palette, Tanzanite Blue 2 and Frozen Pure Grey. A minor exterior styling change is that the LED lights now get M shadowline inserts that add a dark accent to the lamps. Moving inside, the central infotainment display in the M8 competition models now measures 12.3 inches. The optional M-carbon bucket seats feature exposed carbon fiber reinforced plastic sections, large bolsters and illuminated M8 badges on the integrated headrest. The chairs are heated and electrically adjustable too. The powertrain for the M8 competition remains the same, 4.4-litre twin-turbo V8 that makes 617 horsepower and 750 Nm of torque. An 8-speed automatic sends the power to an all-wheel drive system, and this setup allows for the acceleration 96 km per hour in just 3 seconds. The top speed is 306 km per hour with potential M drivers package. BMW will start the production of the 2023 M8 from March this year, and the range starts for about $130,000.
Screens nowadays are inseparable from any car that comes out on the road. Screens have become so important that buying decisions are based on how big the infotainment screen in any car really is. They also are very important when it comes to some very crucial functions of the cars, and they control a lot of things, a lot of features as well. And that's exactly why the game of doing screens in a big way, in a much better way, is just getting pushed to a very, very different level. Porsche has decided to update its infotainment screens across the range, and that is not only about giving you more features, but also adding a lot more flexibility. Check this out.
Porsche has just announced a new version of its infotainment system, which will be available as standard on all 911s, Taycan, Cayenne and Panamera models. The updated Porsche Communication Management 6.0 is visually recognizable by the new colored icons and more streamlined menu structures. According to Porsche, the new system has been developed at the suggestion of its customers with improved voice pilot function. Moreover, news updates, owner manuals and in-car music streaming are now easier to access. The most important novelty, however, is the integration of wireless Android Auto connectivity, and the Porsche Communication Management 6.0 also provides direct access to Spotify as an available media source within the infotainment system. The Charging Planner app on the infotainment system of Taycan has also been improved and now uses better algorithms. It also takes into account the time required to start and end the charging process at the charging station when calculating the total driving time, so the customers will be able to plan their journeys more efficiently. Production of the 911, Taycan, Panamera and Cayenne models with this updated infotainment unit will start in the next few weeks, and the exact functionality of the system will depend on the trim level and powertrain type of each vehicle.
There have been a lot of promises made by a lot of Indian companies in the electric motorcycle space. Some have fallen by the wayside, but some persevered, and TORQ is one such company. It has finally given us the KRATOS that it has been working for some time now, and it looks not only good, but also promises to be a very, very decent machine. Check this out.
Nearly 6 years after announcing its plans for an electric motorcycle, TORQ Motors has finally launched it in India with two variant options, the KRATOS and KRATOS R. FAME 2 subsidies knock a significant 60,000 Indian rupees off the prices, bringing the effective ex-showroom prices down to 1.32 lakh Indian rupees for the KRATOS and 1.47 lakh Indian rupees for the KRATOS R. The company has also opened the order books for both variants, while the deliveries are set to take place by April this year. The KRATOS is powered by a 7.5 kilowatt 28 Nm motor, while the R gets a 9 kilowatt 38 Nm unit. This is good enough for a 0 to 40 km per hour sprint in 4 seconds for the KRATOS and 3.5 seconds for the R. The top speed of the motorcycles are 100 km per hour and 105 km per hour respectively. Both bikes get 3 riding modes, Eco, City and Sports, as well as a reverse mode. And the motors are mid-mounted, sending drive to the rear wheel via a chain. The 4 kWh lithium-ion battery pack is common between the two variants and is housed in an aluminium casing, giving it an IP67 weather protection rating. Claimed range is also the same for both, which is 180 km under test conditions in the Indian drive cycle, and 120 km in the real world. Charging options include home charging at a rate of 25% per hour, but the fast charging is exclusive to the R, which TORQ says can juice it up to 80% in less than 1 hour. TORQ says it will roll out the bikes in a phased manner across India, with Phase 1 cities comprising Pune, Hyderabad, Bengaluru, Chennai, Ahmedabad and Delhi. But Phase 2 will target nearly 100 cities. In states where a state subsidy for EVs is applicable, there are further benefits to purchasing the KRATOS. In Pune, the state subsidies bring effective starting ex-showroom prices down to 1.08 lakh Indian rupees, while in Delhi, the starting ex-showroom price is as low as 1.02 lakh Indian rupees.
With that, it is time for us to wrap. Thank you very much for watching. If you want to connect with us, just go on any of these social media pages and drop in a line to us. Before going, as always, I urge you to be very, very responsible whenever you're on the road, be it on feet or on wheels. My name is Ashish, signing off. I will see you in 7. Take care. Bye-bye.